but we can give out some yardage props, and we can do that starting today. So let's roll through it now. 8 excellent prop bets for Week 8 in the NFL. And we will start in this Browns-Ravens game. How about the judge, Jerry Jeudy? Get it, Judge Judy? I think Jerry Jeudy stinks. In dynasty leagues, I drafted him a couple times, thinking, first-round draft pick of the Denver Broncos. He was awesome at Alabama. I thought Jerry Jeudy was going to be absolutely awesome. Now, he hasn't been. Wasn't for the Broncos, and has not been thus far for the Cleveland Browns. But Jameis Winston's now the quarterback in Cleveland. And more importantly, I think, Ken Dorsey is now calling the plays for the Cleveland Browns. Cedric Tillman was the biggest beneficiary at the receiver position last week of Amari Cooper being traded to Buffalo. Tillman is more of like a contested catch guy. I think that Jeudy is going to be the guy that gets the ball down the field from Jameis Winston in this Cleveland Browns offense and the spread attack for Ken Dorsey. So prop bet number 1 in the excellent 8, Jerry Jeudy over 42.5 receiving yards for the Browns at home against the Baltimore Ravens. Prop bet number 2 of the excellent 8, London Calling. We love the Drake. If you don't like these nicknames, you're not like us. I love me some Drake London. Drake London has absolutely nuked the Todd Bowles defense. Basically, every time Drake London plays against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Drake London goes off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we don't have to go back that far to remember this happening. How about Thursday Night Football a couple weeks ago? Kirk Cousins throws for 509 yards, a bunch of them going to Drake London, 100-plus receiving yards and a touchdown for Drake London in that game. I know. I've got him in fantasy football. Drake London's yardage prop here, 68.5. I think the Bucs are a lot healthier on defense now than they were in that game. I don't think there's going to be 500 yards for Kirk Cousins. I also don't think that Bijan and Tyler Algier are going to dominate on the ground. Drake London is the one receiver that I think consistently can win in this Falcons receiving core. So let's go best bet numero dos of the excellent 8 props. Drake London over 68.5 receiving yards. Best bet numero tres. I hate the name Dalton. I can't imagine my wife and I, let's say we have a son. We'll have one more kid. I really just as an aside, for all the parents out there that have 2 kids, and everyone says it, so I'm sure it's true. How do you love your second kid as much as your first kid? I can't imagine my second kid, loving my second kid as much as I love my daughter Colette. I just can't imagine that. Anyway, just deep thoughts with Nick Costos. Think about this stuff sometimes. Colette is my daughter's name. Selfishly, I think it's the best name of all time. And I'm sure even parents that name their kids stupid names, like Dalton, probably think they're great names. But if we can be objective, Dalton's an absolutely atrocious name. Dalton Kincaid is a brutal overall name. They could have done so much better. How about Nick Kincaid? Femi Kincaid? What about Jake Kincaid? Tyler Kincaid? Billy Z Kincaid? What's your first name? You, the slappy watching or listening to this right now. What's your first name? Chances are it fits with Kincaid better than Dalton. Dalton sounds like he should be wearing a sweater vest, like Lacoste shorts at some tennis club in the Hamptons, not playing tight ends in the National Hockey League, in the National Football League. In any event, Dalton Kincaid, stupid name. Honestly, kind of like a stupid player also. Been terrible this year. Is letting us all down in fantasy football, letting down Bills fans. But in this matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, remember last week, he's the Pits. But Kyle went over his receiving yards prop last week for the Falcons against the Seahawks. 2 weeks ago, Thursday Night Football, George Kittles and Bits goes over on Thursday night against the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks have a problem. And that problem, more cowbell, that problem is covering the opposing tight end. Dalton Kincaid, stupid name, but going to get a lot of space in the middle of the field with Amari Cooper soaking up more coverage, expected to play more of the snaps this week. And also, Keon Coleman, 4 for 125 last week. Defenses are going to have to stop Coleman. They're going to have to stop hanging with Mr. Amari Cooper. And I think that's going to leave Dalton Kincaid open in the middle of the field. Dalton Kincaid over 41.5 receiving yards. Next up. We never should feel bad for bookies. We should never feel bad for the sports books. With this one, though, I think I do. They haven't learned their lesson yet. So we have to punish them and make them learn their lesson. Since A.J. Brown returned to the lineup for the Philadelphia Eagles, his receiving yards props have been laughably low. Last week, and I'll do my best John Sterling impersonation, A.J. Brown's receiving yards prop was 68.5. You know what that is? It'll be a 1-1 low. It'll be a 2-1. Way too low for A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, this is as easy as it gets. Over 77.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Easy, easy, easy. A.J. Brown over 77.5 receiving yards. Prop number 5 of the excellent 8. Kind of have a feeling that tonight's going to be a good night. I also have a feeling that Trevor Lawrence is going to play well on Sunday for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have a feeling that that game is finna get loose with the Jaguars and the Packers in Jacksonville. I feel like Jordan Love is going to play well for Green Bay, and I feel like Trevor Lawrence is going to play well for Jacksonville. And if Trevor Lawrence is going to play well, it stands to reason that his number one receiver, you know, the guy that's 10 times better than Marvin Harrison Jr., Brian Thomas Jr., the better junior of the two, that Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ, will have a big game. So what we're going to do is our best Shawn Michaels impersonation at WrestleMania 10, our best Razor Ramon impersonation from SummerSlam 95, our best Edge and Christian, our best Dudley Boys, our best Hardy Boys impersonation from WrestleMania 17. We're going to grab that ladder, and we're going to climb that sumbitch. BTJ over 56.5 receiving yards and ladders. Prop number 6 of the excellent 8, Anthony Richardson. Now, sometimes he looks like he was dropped onto this planet yesterday and is just learning how to play the quarterback position. But you know what he can do? Run like the wind. And I think the Colts, they've got to have this game, and I think they lean into that with Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson over 38.5 rushing yards. Is this line serious for number 7? Do people watch Brock Bowers play? Like, has anyone watched him play this year? He's like an awesome wide receiver playing tight end. The Raiders don't have anyone else. Like, Brock Bowers, if he plays like this his whole career, is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not saying he's going to get there. That's not what I'm saying. Just that, like, he keeps playing like this, he goes into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. And we're going to have his prop start with a 5 with Davante Adams now in New York. Brock Bowers over 58.5 receiving yards. And the last of the excellent 8. Femi is a real loser because he roots for the Dallas Cowboys, and they're a losing franchise. But what we need on Sunday night is some Femi positivity. What we need on Sunday night is for the Cowboys to hear the criticism levied at them by their Hall of Fame quarterback, a winner, Troy Aikman. When Troy Aikman called out the receivers for running bad routes, for being lazy and not helping out their quarterback, Dak Prescott. Call this one a hunch, but I think that we and CD had a little lamb on Sunday night, and CD Lamb goes for over 100 receiving yards against the Niners. CD Lamb over 75.5 receiving yards for the final of the Prop Kings Excellent 8 for Week 8.